Hi, welcome back to the Moms Partnership, Western Mass Moms Partnership, and the course on stress management. We're going to cover class 2. I'm Gina, and I've been teaching the class now for quite a while, and I want to share with you the class that maybe you missed or one that you would like to review and do again. And we really encourage you to do it over and over again because you're adapting new skills and strategies. So this class, the overview of this class, is to give you a new relaxation exercise. And we know that stress causes problems, but if you can learn to relax, you can have an impact on your stress. We'll take a look at mood problems that result from stress. We're going to look at unhelpful ways to cope with stress. And then we're also going to have an opportunity to meet two characters which have gone through the course with us, Violet and Mary, and how their thoughts have an impact on what they do and how they feel. We're going to look at our thoughts. What are thoughts? How thoughts impact our mood, thoughts and your mood, and helpful and unhelpful thoughts. And we're going to practice fixing unhelpful thoughts. Then we'll look at homework. The fact that you can change your thoughts is powerful and is definitely a skill. So they ask you in the manual, if you look at your manual on page 2.2, to review the guidelines for being in the class, but you've already done that, so we don't have to do that again. And to review last week's class, class number 1, and that was all about stress and taking a look at the fact that there's internal stress and external stress, and you can always take a flip back to that class. So I'm going to start out this one with the relaxation exercise. We're asking you to take a look at how important relaxation is in order to manage stress, in order to help you to reach a healthy balance in your lives. Relaxation exercises can help you to deal with stressful situations when they occur. And relaxation is an enjoyable and a pleasant activity that you can share with others, including your children. Sometimes it takes a while to get used to the fact that you can take a breath and be still, and it might not feel comfortable in the beginning. The more you do it, again, just like all the other skills, the easier it becomes, and being able to share that with your kids is really powerful. So what I'd like you to do is to sit comfortably in the chair that you're in, put your feet on the floor, relax your shoulders, maybe just take a cleansing breath. If you want to close your eyes, you can, and if you don't want to, you can keep them open, but kind of gaze down so that you're not busy looking at other things. Now, your mind is going to wander, so I'm not asking you to make your mind blank. I'm asking you to focus your awareness just on your breathing. So in a relaxed place, soften your hands, soften your belly, soften your shoulders. Slowly take an in-breath, breathing in, and then exhaling and breathing out. Let's do it again. Breathe in and breathe out. One more time. Breathe in and breathe out. You can breathe out through your mouth or your nose. You can breathe in through your nose or your mouth. You can notice the breath comes into your belly. You can notice the breath comes into your chest. And sometimes you can put your hand on your chest or your belly and you can feel the distension where your belly expands when you breathe in or your chest rises up when you breathe in and then deflates when you let go of the breath. By doing that deep breath, you give your whole body a chance to kind of recharge and reorganize itself as to how you're going to respond, because we don't necessarily have the ability to impact and change the stress. We do have the power on how we respond. But if I don't have thinking power and I'm just doing a knee-jerk reaction under stress, I sometimes say or do things that are really not supportive, and then I make a mistake and I don't feel good about it. So we want you to slow things down. When you feel yourself getting stressed, stop. Stopping's the hardest thing that human beings can do. Stop, take a breath, and then decide how you want to respond. And if you decide that my response is not going to be helpful in this situation, walk away. Take a little time. Give yourself a break. and then come back and see if you can't figure out what to do next. Practice the breath and the breathing on a regular basis. So mood problems that result from stress. Stress can cause a variety of problems related to mood, such as feeling tired and fatigued, angry, sadness. Different people feel stress in different ways. And that's an interesting thing to be aware of, because you might be really stressed at going shopping, food shopping, and your kids who are with you are not stressed at all. They're having a ball. So depending on the situation and what's going on, you want to be aware of what's going on inside you. So they have suggested on page 2.7, mood problems that result from stress. They've suggested that things that would cause you to create stress in your life would be sadness. Maybe out of sadness, you're feeling stressed. Anger could definitely result from stress. Feeling tired, and many of us are exhausted from stress. Think about what other things, what other moods and feelings could result from stress. And so some of the suggestions that moms have given is being annoyed. I'm stressed, now I'm annoyed. I'm stressed, now I'm frustrated. I've been stressed for 2 days, now I'm depressed. Sometimes when I get stressed, I feel incompetent. I don't feel like I can be a good mom because I've been so stressed. Or hopeless or helpless. So all of those moods, being irritable and feeling overwhelmed. And one mom said hungry. When I get stressed, I can feel hungry. So knowing that mood problems can result from stress is really important. And we're going to take a look at the unhelpful ways to cope with stress. So that's on page 2.8. And we all have strategies because we're trying to deal with the stress, but some of them are very unhelpful. And there are helpful ways and unhelpful ways to cope with stress. Some common but not so helpful ways to cope with stress include smoking and drinking and staying in bed. These are coping strategies, do not really help you feel better in the long run. So they put a couple of out here. Smoking, staying in bed, drinking. Some of the other activities or other things that ways, unhelpful ways to deal with stress, some of the moms have said, let's see, swearing and breaking things. I can't deal with my stress, so I get, unhelpful ways. Eating, overeating, and not eating at all in order to deal with my stress. Yelling and blowing up at my kids might be a way to deal with my stress. Being really angry and fighting with my kids can be a way of dealing with stress. Unhelpful ways to cope with stress. Let's take a look at the path that leads to your mood. And we're going to do that with our lovely ladies, Violet and Mary. So if you've been through the course, you know that Violet and Mary, here's what the book looks like on page 2.9. They're two beautiful women who go through life and demonstrate for us what their thoughts and the thoughts that they have impact their mood. So Violet and Mary, what we'll do is take a look at Violet's day. And she woke up and she said, I don't want to get up. That was what she said. If that were me, I would probably have circled a 2. My mood was like, and there are days I don't want to get up for sure. And then she thinks, I wish I could just disappear. And that's not an uncommon thought. And it would also keep my mood pretty low in that arena of thinking. Next, she says or thinks, I don't want to speak to anyone. So I want to isolate, I want to stay alone, and my thoughts are running the show, and that certainly doesn't help me feel good. And at the end of the day, I feel sad and lonely. That's what she's thinking, that's how she's feeling. So the thoughts have an impact on our mood, and taking a look at how we can change our thoughts is going to help us figure out how we can change our mood. The key, my friends, is being aware. So the practice with Violet and Mary is really powerful. Now, we filled in all of the bubbles. Later on in the class, you fill in the bubbles depending on how you feel. So let's take a look at Mary, her day. Mary says the same thing. I don't want to get up. So she's feeling pretty low and maybe a 2 on the scale. Then she thinks, after my shower, I'll feel a little better. So now she has a new thought, and she has orchestrated the thought, and that might bring her mood up to a 4. So now she's feeling a little better. Then what she does is she actually calls a friend. Hi, Carmen. I had a hard day yesterday. Can we get together to talk? So now she's reaching out to someone who she knows and loves and who loves her. And her mood is starting to improve. If I did that, my mood would go up to probably a 5 or a 6. And then by the end of the day, she thinks, I'm happy to have friends who support me. And certainly if that were me, my mood would probably be an 8 or a 9. So Mary had the courage to reach out and find the supportive people to help her feel better. So let's turn the page to 2.10, which is, what are thoughts? Okay, thoughts are things. Thoughts are all the things we tell ourselves as if we were having a conversation in our head, like there's a committee in our head. Our thoughts can be helpful or unhelpful, but our thoughts are there. And our thoughts almost always affect how we feel. We are not always aware of our thoughts, and in the class, we're spending time helping you be aware of what your thoughts are. And if we become aware of our thoughts, we can learn to use them or change them to improve our mood. You have power over what you think. And I like to share that the thoughts or the words that you say in your mind have an impact and create an image or a picture. Now, the picture that you have in your mind causes you to have feelings, and the feelings in your body cause you to have action. It's that simple. That's not easy. So we have maybe 50,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are negative. What we want to do is grab hold of those thoughts and begin to turn them around, kind of like Mary did in our little scenario, so that we practice improving the thoughts that we have, which are going to improve those feelings that we have in our body. I also wanted to say that your thoughts come from your mind, and your mind makes thoughts the way your heart pumps blood. So you cannot control your heart pumping blood, and you can't control your thoughts in your mind. They're going to come and they're going to go. What happens is we get attached to them, and what we want to be able to do is be aware of them to decide what else we would want to do. So on the next page, 211, how thoughts impact your mood, there's a little cartoon situation here that really demonstrates the impact of what you think. So the first situation is you arrive home and there's chaos and arguing going on. If I were using unhelpful thoughts, I might say, I can't do anything right. I'm a failure as a mom. That's going to make me feel really bad. It's going to cause me to do things that might be helpful. Will not be helpful. I could argue, I could yell, you do all kinds of things if I don't feel well. Or I could be aware of my thoughts and I could say something like, I'm working hard and I'm doing my best. It's a stressful day, but I can handle this. I can do this. Just those words alone help me feel a little bit more in charge and a little bit more in control. How I think is what I'm going to do. So situation number 2 is you missed a very important appointment. An unhelpful, unhealthy thought. I always make mistakes. I give up. Be careful when you say things like always and never. First of all, they're not always true, but they also make us feel incompetent. I could have even said, I sometimes make mistakes, but I want to pull out that I give up. Instead, a positive way to deal with it is, it's okay, I made a mistake. Everyone does sometimes. I'll figure out what to do next. And I can handle this. That thought alone becomes really powerful. Now we're going to look at thoughts and your mood. Imagine your child is having a temper tantrum. Oh, I can know what that looks like. Or if you have an older child, imagine he or she is displaying bad behavior or not following the rules. How would you react in this situation? What would your thought be? And what would your thoughts affect and how would they affect your mood? So you think about the illustration that you have in the book on page 212, right? And the negative mood or the worst mood compared to a better mood. So it could be, I can't handle anything. I'm not a good mom. We saw that before in the other page, because your kid is having a temper tantrum, or because, your child has been disruptive. Whatever it might be, it's going on in your mind compared to what you're seeing on the outside. The better mood would be, I can help my child calm down. I can figure this out. By the way, I taught my child how to breathe, so I can help them take a breath. And changing the way you breathe can change the way you feel. So you yourself are going to model for your youngster how to manage your mood and your thoughts. So wait a minute, let me take a breath. Okay, I'm going to take a breath. And now I've got more ammunition in my mind to figure out how I can help my youngster calm down. And if I've taught my youngster how to breathe, which is what we want you to do, teach your kids the relaxation technique you're going to learn in the class, they then also can employ that. Wow, it looks like you're having a really hard time. I'm going to wait till you can calm down and then we can talk about it. Or that's unacceptable. Let's figure out what else we can do. And we can come up with a variety of ways. But the point of it is, be aware of what you're thinking in your mind first, because that's where you have the power. So helpful and unhelpful thoughts is, how can we change them? Because that's where you have the power to do. Changing the way you look at things, then the things that you look at will change. So for instance, in the little cartoon on page 213 in your manual, she says, I'm a bad mom because he's misbehaving. And then more positive would be, wait a minute, I'm not a bad mom. Sometimes I make mistakes, but not all the time. What is important is that I try my best to take care of my children. That gives my mood kind of a boost for me to figure out what it is that I can do next. So in this unhelpful, helpful exercise, what you might want to do is write down some of the unhelpful thoughts you have about being a mom. Can't do it enough, can't be there on time, I'm not doing a good job, I'm too tired. And then how would you change that? I do a lot and I do the best I can. I'm going to be more respectful of my own time and take care of myself. And we've got some opportunities for you to practice. If at any point you would like to get some feedback on what you're practicing, please reach out to either myself or your CMHA or even another mom that you remembered meeting in the class. Or I'll remind you again, Heather and Victoria, the Moving Forward group, would be more than happy to help you review this material. So practicing fixing unhelpful thoughts. So this part of the homework is really for you to do, for you to experience what it would feel like to first write down your thoughts. That's a hard part, being aware, and measure it on the stress, whether it's high stress or low stress, and it's in your manual. It starts on page 214. So you go ahead and write down your thoughts and then fix your thoughts. Turn them around into a healthy, by being kind to yourself. Actually write down what else you can think instead of the negative thought. And then measure your stress based on the fact that you changed the thought around. They give you some situations that you can play around with, and then they ask you to create your own. Again, practicing the skills, practicing in the manual, writing in the manual is going to be really helpful, because in 6 months, you're going to come back to the manual and it's going to help you remember all the work that you did and reinforce the fact that it works. The homework quick mood scale is up again, asking you to date and maybe look at helpful and unhelpful thoughts that you might have had during the day. Some of the moms have kept it by their bedstand at night so that they can remember to answer it. Another mom put it in a plastic sheet so she could take it with her and use it during the day. So use it, practice it, be aware of it, be aware of your mood because it makes a difference. And then they're asking you to do a little bit more about fixing unhelpful thoughts. It might be also interesting and intriguing for you to help your kids change their thoughts, because youngsters come to us with unhelpful thoughts. You help them turn it around and create a helpful thought that they're going to feel better about. And they're always asking you at the end of your homework to come up with your own situations, and then not only keeping track of your helpful and unhelpful thoughts this week, but how do you think helpful thoughts affect your mood? And how do you think unhelpful thoughts affect your mood? And then talk to someone about what you learned about your thoughts and the moods today. The best way to learn something is to teach somebody else. So take these skills, share them with the people that you love, the people you work with, the moms of the kids that you know, and begin sharing the wisdom that's going to help all of us feel better.